So this is a general relationship reading for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. This reading can apply to any type of relationship. It could be friendship, it could be work, it could be family, and it could be a romantic relationship, okay? I went ahead before I started the video and I pulled 3 cards from this deck to give me an overall idea of the dynamic of the relationship that I've tapped into. And so we'll talk about those, and then I've also pulled 3 additional cards, but I haven't looked at them yet, so they're sitting on my table, but I don't know what they are, and we'll talk about those, and then we'll get clarification with a different deck, okay? So I'm only shuffling because it helps me think. The other thing that I would mention to you that's important is that there are only 26 reversals in this card. So before I start a new reading, I randomly select 26 cards. I don't look at them, you know, and those are the ones that become the reversals. And so when we see them, if we see them, it'll be an indication for us and a validation for us that there was some kind of challenge or blockage or obstacle, okay? So let's take a look. Let's start digging in to your reading here. So your overall energy for the relationship came out as the 10 of Wands, but it literally flipped out like this, sideways. And so I typically, you know, would turn it one way or the other, but I really got strong feeling to kind of leave it alone. And then when I started thinking about it, I think it started to make sense to me. So hopefully this will resonate with you too. But what I got from this kind of sideways 10 of Wands is you may not want to let this go, Scorpio. Whatever this relationship is, was meant to you, means to you, you know, I'm guessing from this, that there's part of you that knows that you need to let it go, and then there's part of you that doesn't want to let it go. So you're kind of stuck in this limbo land of, you know, I know I should, I know I probably need to, but I don't know how, or I don't want to, or it's that kind of energy, right? And so this was your current energy for the relationship, all right? And we'll get some clarification too. The current energy of the person that you're thinking about, I have to remember this. Okay, so this is the World in this deck. It's called Triumph. So I'm wondering if Scorpio, that they've moved on and you perhaps haven't been able to. And again, this is just like first hits, and so we'll get some clarification on this, but that's kind of what I'm getting with this, is that something has ended here, and it looks like they've moved on, or they're moving on, or they will have an easier time doing that. And I feel like you are not having such an easy time, or you know, you haven't found somebody and maybe they've found somebody, maybe they've already started dating or something like that, or a job, right? This is a career thing, you know, apply it to your scenario. But you know, the party that you're thinking about, it kind of feels like they have found some kind of closure, and even though you may not have it, they've found it, and they have moved on in whatever way is appropriate for this particular relationship scenario, okay? The energy that came out for the relationship, so this was the overall energy to describe the relationship, and that's the 5 of Cups in reverse. So when we're thinking about the 5 of Cups, we are, you know, we've had options, we've had choices, and now we may be feeling really disappointed. So when it's an upright position, we may be feeling really disappointed with the way the shit went down, the choices we made, all right? But your relationship card came up in reverse. And so I think this might help to support the idea that I was getting where, you know, yeah, you know, some decisions and some choices were made, but in the end, as hard as that is to see sometimes when you're in the thick of things, in the end, I'm thinking that you probably both know that this is the way that it needed to be. Not easy. I'm not saying it was an easy decision. I'm not saying it's easy energy to be in. That's not what I'm saying. But in your core, and I'm guessing this applies to both of you, since this is the overall energy of the relationship, was that there was clearly some disappointment, and there was clearly, that kind of thing that happened. But what I'm getting is that you both, maybe at different levels, but you both probably know on some level that it needed to end, and it was probably for the best, as painful as this energy is. Okay? Yeah, this is somebody who feels very betrayed. We'll get some clarification on this too, so we can dig into that energy a little bit deeper before I start saying too much just off of one card. So now the 3 other cards that I pulled were for different aspects. So we'll take a look first at what you want now. So like, what is it that you, Scorpio, want from the relationship now? And this is the King of Coins. So, coupled with where you're at now, what I'm getting is that you, I think you don't want to let this go. I think this is something that you would love to have back. It either offered you some kind of stability and security that you really liked, or, God, is there an ego thing going on in here, Scorpio? Like you can't believe that they would move on to, like, how could they choose that person over me, or how could they give that person the job and not me? How could they give, if it's a family thing, how could they give them this heirloom or this money and not give it to me? Like, is it that kind of thing too, possibly for some of you with this? But the stronger hit I'm getting is the stability and security thing. That, you probably were getting that from this relationship, and now that it's gone, I think you would like to have it back. Or, you could be in the camp of, if you've accepted, like if you're in the process of like truly dropping this and like letting it go and accepting what is, you may just want to get to a place where you and this other person, whoever this is, that you guys just are in like a stable place, like you could at least be friends, right? Like we could at least be civil. We could at least say Merry Christmas and Happy Birthday, or like that kind of thing, is what I'm getting with this. So let's take a look at where the other person is, like what they want in the relationship now, right? Present moment. And they got the Chariot, which in this deck is called Desire. Scorpio. They're ready to move on, Scorpio. We're gonna get to, no, I've got my pouty lip going, because I think this is tough for you. I think it's tough for you to see this and know this, that they've moved on, that they're moving on, that they, I think this is, but this is what this is. So this is what they want from the relationship, which the Chariot means kind of moving on. In this deck, however, yeah, these lovers, these are like star-crossed. This is like the story in this, for this particular couple. They're like star-crossed, and they really loved each other, but in the end they could not be together. It's like a variety of a Romeo and Juliet type of story. And so they may have felt that way about you, Scorpio, where they really loved you, you know, and maybe they still do. But there's something that is not allowing, and we'll see what clarification we get, but there's something that's not allowing them to have this with you, whatever that is, right? Oh, relationship readings. Okay. The challenge or obstacle that was in the relationship. And we got the Strength card. So, what am I getting from this? I am actually, this is the first card that I'm going to clarify because I'm not getting an immediate strong hit, and I don't want to kind of overstep my bounds here because I can clearly see, Scorpio, that this is not an easy situation for you. So before I put my foot in my mouth, let me, I'm going to use the Tarot of the Hidden Realm to get clarification for some of these cards. And the first one I'm going to start with is this one, which was the challenge or the obstacle for the relationship. So let's take a look at that first, okay? So for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus, what clarification can we give them for this Strength card related to this relationship that they are thinking about? What clarification can we give Scorpio? All right, the Six of Cups. Dang it. Another reading with like a karmic connection. Of course you're watching tarot because it's a karmic thing. Those are the worst. The Five of Pentacles and the Knight of Cups. God dang it, Scorpio. Oh, I'll show you the cards in a second. Hang on. Okay, I'm gonna start here. I think that when you guys started this relationship, there were high hopes, high expectations, and one or both of you may have said that you were capable of more than you actually were. And that could be like emotionally, if we're talking about a romantic relationship. That could be like, yeah, I got this job and I said I could do X, Y, and Z, and then they expected me to do it, and I was like, oh shit, I don't really know how to do that very well, right? That kind of thing. Like there were expectations that were either implied and or possibly discussed, and then one of you wasn't able to follow through for whatever reasons on those promises, the ideas, that kind of thing is what I'm getting from this card as, you know, part of the obstacle, right? So this is the obstacle to clarify this Strength card. And so then the other two cards that we got to clarify the Strength card for the obstacles and the challenges in this relationship were the Five of Pentacles and the Six of Cups. So a couple different things I could see here. You guys might have been friends, and it may have turned into something, right? So if this relationship started out as friendship and then it evolved into a work relationship, I'm seeing that here. Also, you guys may just have been friends, like social friends, and then it turned into something else. That could apply to this. And then if you stick with me on my channel, you'll see that, especially when I'm talking about relationships and the ones that are like kind of painful like this, especially since I feel like this one's imbalanced. I don't feel like you two are in the same place mentally and emotionally with this relationship. I'm not getting karmic as strong with this one as I do with some of the other ones, right? When I see the Six of Cups, I very often, check in and say, does this feel karmic? For a few of you, maybe, but that's not the strongest hit I'm getting with this card in this particular instance. I'm getting more like this was a friendship that developed into something. And then when you got there, right, when after you shifted from friends to something else, whether that's work or romantic or whatever, I think that started a bunch of challenges actually. Socially, it's probably started to cause some challenges if it was a social thing. If it was a work thing, it shifted the dynamic of the relationship. Some part of the dynamic of the relationship shifted, is what I'm getting from these. I'll put this down because I feel like that was a different type of energy. So these two I feel like are more together. You two, I don't know that you two were feeling supported. I don't know that you were feeling supported in the relationship, whether it was work or romantic or whatever. That's what I'm getting here to clarify strength. And so for a while, Scorpio, you two might have been putting up like a front, or I don't know what the word is, but like, sometimes we get into relationships and we start to have challenges in the relationship, but when we go out in public, we still act like everything's cool, even though we know it's really not. And so you both may have been in this energy for a while, like putting the facade up at work or in front of your family and friends or whatever the case is with this relationship, right? That you were trying to, kind of keep things cool, but it didn't work out, it just didn't work out. I'm sorry, Scorpio, that's tough. Let's get a little bit more clarification on this, why the relationship is having challenges. Why is the relationship having challenges for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus? Why is this relationship having challenges? The World, the Ten of Pentacles, the Five of Wands. I think you guys ended up realizing that you were moving in different directions, that you guys wanted different things. I'm also getting that this relationship is, for most of you, it's already ended. It's already ended, like physically for most of you. Like there's no, like we broke up type of deal. And then for some of you, you're having a hard time letting it go, like moving on yourself. But what was causing the challenge with this is that what I'm getting from these cards is that you guys ended up where what used to probably be a friendship and like a good, healthy dynamic and relationship, once you guys realized that you weren't supporting each other the way that each other needed to be supported, and there may have been some false promises type of thing, right? We talked about, once that kind of energy started to kind of seep in, dang it, and it's then like once resentment sets in, it's so hard because it gets so heavy, right? The energies of the relationship get so heavy, and that's kind of what I'm getting here, Scorpio. is like just kind of the weight of the relationship got really heavy, and then what happens? We start the bickering and the squabbling and the nitpicking and all the bullshit, right? Man. It's not fun. All right, let's look at another piece of this. What piece should we look at? Let's see. I think I want to look at you, Scorpio, because I think that you are struggling a little bit more than the person that you have in mind. And so I want to try to give you some stuff to think about here with this, okay? So let's take a look at, I'm going to go with this 10 of Wands, okay? Sideways. Let's get some clarification for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Tied to this 10 of Wands, that's sideways. All right. So we have the 5 of Swords. Damn. The Knight of Pentacles. And the Ace of Cups. So the 10 of Wands sideways was representing the energy that you're currently in relative to this relationship. And so, whoops, the 5 of Swords. Ouch. All right. So whether it was you that did the leaving or they did the leaving, you know, I'm guessing this was not a fun breakup. Like this, I don't, you know, so we have this coupled with the Knight, which is interesting. The Knight of Pentacles, which is a very kind of slow moving and stable energy, contrasted with one that's totally not. The 5 of Swords is not a stable, calm energy, you know, as depicted in this card. Like, that's, these are very conflicting type of energies. And so if this is the energy you're currently in, okay, you know, like one day you're pissed, one day you're like, you know, I gotta let this go, I need to move on. One day you're like, I can't believe, what the F, you know, blah, blah, blah. The next day you're like, all right, I just gotta focus on my future, I gotta focus on what I'm doing next. You know, it's like, I think you might be in your head and having a real hard time letting this go, like letting this relationship go. I think that's what this is about, because these are very conflicting energies. And then you got the damn Ace of Cups, right? So like, what I'm getting, Scorpio, is that you want to be in a relationship. You want to find a soulmate, you want to be with somebody, you want to find that person, you know, and maybe you thought that the person that we pulled for you, that it was them, but it looks to me like they have moved on. I hate to say that because it's so hard and it sounds so harsh, because you're clearly, you want it, right? And I don't know if you necessarily want them anymore. Maybe you do, or maybe just the idea of it. Sometimes we get stuck on the idea of something, and it makes it hard for us to kind of let stuff go, you know? But clearly you want to have some love, and you want to be in a loving relationship. So I'm getting very strongly for you, Scorpio, that until you can release the back and forth, right? These are all, like, for me now, this is the same. You know, that's why this came up like sideways, because you're like, you probably shift like every day. You're in a different energy about this, you know? And I feel like your brain is just kind of like spinning on how do I move on, you know? So I don't know, Scorpio, that you're going to have an easy time finding this love until you can get this cleared, okay? So, you know, if I'm giving any kind of advice, it's, well, I understand, that's not advice, but I understand if this is your story, this is very difficult, and I get why you might be stuck. And sometimes these things just take time, right? So you may be anxious to move on to a new relationship because it looks like they have. So part of you might be like, well, what the F? I don't want to be the loser without it, but that's nonsense. Like if you're in that energy, then I would, gently say to you that's nonsense, because you may be a deeper person, you may be more spiritual, you may have different type of healing journey than your partner, who I think has already moved on to something else, right? So you may need to take some time. There's nothing wrong with that. There is no shame in being alone for a little while and getting our shit cleared up so that when another opportunity comes, you'll be in a really good place to swim and play with them and and accept love into your life. Okay? A little bit of tough love there, but I hope you understand. What else can we look at? The last thing I'm going to look at, I was hesitating looking at this person's energy that you're thinking about in this relationship, but I think we're going to look at just this, which was what they want from your relationship. So I'm going to get clarification on this for you, so that gives you something to kind of think about, meditate on, and decide how you can help yourself get out of this back and forth type of energy, okay? So let's take a look at what it is that they want from you, from this relationship, okay? All right, so for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus, what clarification can we give them about this relationship related to this Chariot card? What does this person they're thinking about, what does that person want from Scorpio? What do they want for the relationship? What do they want? What do they want for the relationship? What do they want for Scorpio? The Hierophant, the Two of Pentacles, and the King of Wands. To clarify the Chariot. I'm going to come back to this, but just real quick before I forget, I think that they want to be free to explore and make their own decisions about this, and I think that they're exploring right now. So if they've moved on to a different relationship, I feel like they're doing it because they're trying to figure some shit out about themselves. And I don't want to go as far as to say it's a rebound. That's not, it could be, but that's not necessarily what I'm saying. Typically we think of the Hermit and we think that, you kind of go internal by yourself to do your thing. But in this particular case, I'm getting that they need this relationship, whatever this was, I think they need the relationship to be in this Hermit energy, because they want to be here. They want to be exploring their options. They want to be free to go out and explore, is what I'm getting. They have some options, and they don't know. Other thing I'll say with this is they don't know exactly what they want. I think we got that. I think they know that they want something different, and I think that they're anxious to explore, but I don't think that they know what they want. So I think from the relationship, from you, Scorpio, maybe they need a little bit of a solitude and a break so that they can do this exploring and, you know, and for some of you, you know, if this is a work thing, so I'm kind of getting this pretty strong right now too. So for those of you where this was a work relationship, whatever type of work relationship it was a work relationship, they may have too much on their plate, and they are trying to kind of figure out how they can do this and that, you know, and so they might have some competing priorities. So this is kind of like a different subset of what I just said. It's a little bit of a different spin on this. What I'm getting from this is that they have a lot of obligations right now, and they have a lot of kind of things that are tugging and pulling at them, like competing interests is what I'm getting, which could have been the cause of the, you know, a factor, let's say that, a factor in like the demise of the relationship. Scorpio, you might not have been getting what you needed, and so things just kind of started to, things just kind of started to unravel, right? So yeah, I think that's the energy that they're in, Scorpio. The people that I'm tapped into here is, I think from you, from the relationship, they need a little bit of a break, right? They need a break because they're assessing and they're trying to figure stuff out. And so as painful as it might be for those of you where, you know, the person has moved on, they've kind of shut the door. If they haven't moved on, then they've shut the door on the relationship, probably. You know, and they're really minimizing communication. I'm guessing for most of you, they've kind of stopped communication altogether. Some of them have moved on to a different relationship, whatever, you know, kind of whatever the scenario is for you. As painful as that is to kind of know or to think about, they're doing it because they're trying to figure some shit out. So if that gives you any kind of comfort at all, take that, and maybe, you know, do your meditation, your healing, whatever it is that you do to kind of work through these types of things. And then if this is your first time going through something like this, it takes a minute. You know, I've been there. It takes a minute, and meditating, talking to people too, you know, if you have like a relationship coach or a therapist or, you know, anything like that, it's always good when we get ourselves, especially since Scorpio, I think you're in this kind of energy where you're really kind of struggling to process and to do something about, or to figure out what to do to kind of get past this and get through this. If you haven't already considered talking to a therapist or going to a relationship counselor or something like that, that may be an avenue to help you kind of clear that energy that it looks like that you're in. Okay, that was a tough one. We're going to pull some final messages from the Animal Spirit Oracle to give you some parting messages, okay? So for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus, what messages can we give them to help support them through this healing, through this release? What messages can we give to Scorpio to help them through this time? Oop, I was going to do that like I do tarot. Here we go. Giraffe Spirit, see the big picture. Yeah, I think this is actually really good advice for you, Scorpio, because you're kind of stuck right now, right? Like you're stuck in this back and forth, and so this is like the minutia, right? This is stuck in like the details of circling like what went wrong, an argument, like replaying arguments that you had, the way shit went down, you know, like replaying all that stuff, right? Like stuck in the minutia of the ugliness. I think Giraffe Spirit is suggesting for you to try, I know it's hard, try to step away. Try to step away from that energy when you catch yourself, possibly if that's happening to you, that kind of mental replaying of things, if that's happening to you, to when you recognize it, shut it down. And by shutting it down, I mean like acknowledge that it happened and then let it go, right? And if you're like most people, at some point throughout the day, it'll happen again. As soon as you recognize that it's happening, let it go, right? And stay focused instead, right? So that'll free up your brain space. You know, when you're not stuck in the minutia of the ugliness, that'll free up your brain space, the big picture, to look at how you can best do this, which is turn this card upside down and release this burden and release this stuff and really start to kind of clear yourself, clear your energy so you can open yourself up to receive a new cup of love, right? I like that for you. So let's get another one. Antelope Spirit, life is speeding up. So this may be a message for those of you where this was a work situation, right? So if this was a work relationship that ended, what I'm getting from this is that you have new opportunities coming toward you. New things are coming, right? So when one door closes, another door opens. And did we get that it was, did I see the Eight of Wands here? No, I did not. I thought I saw it, but I didn't. Okay. So I really feel like you've got some good stuff coming toward you, especially if your relationship is a work one. All right. So that work relationship may have ended. By relationship, I could mean like a job, right? So I don't think I specified that earlier, but this whole time, if this was a work thing for you, Avi, you know, it could have just been the job. Maybe the job ended because of some promises that were not kept and people were not feeling like they were being supported. Everything that we talked about could apply to just a job and not a personal relationship, okay? And so for those of you where this was a job thing, that's what I think Antelope Spirit is here for you, which is you have some new opportunity. You know, one door, like I said, one door closes and the door opens, go through it, right? Just don't even hesitate, because if an antelope hesitates, they're dead, right? So go. Like what I'm getting with this is just go for it, right? Get yourself out there, resumes, whatever the case is, all right? And we'll get one more for Scorpio. And, Grasshopper Spirit, take a leap of faith. So I think this applies to whichever type of relationship. So if you've made it this far, whether this was romantic, work, family, whatever, with take a leap of faith, I'm getting that it's actually tied to this more than anything, which is to try to do things in a different way, right? So taking a leap of faith is, you know, I've never tried therapy before. I'm gonna do it now. Or I've never had a one-page resume, believe it or not. Like, you know, at this point, my resume is like 3 pages long. And just last year, I played around with a one-page resume and I was like, oh, that's kind of empowering, you know? So it's like that type of idea where you're doing something differently and you're gonna trust that it's gonna work out for the best, right? That you're trusting that whatever direction you're headed in is, you're trusting the universe. You're trusting that the universe has, this has ended for a reason, and that you're trusting that where you're going is in a really good place for you. I think that's what Grasshopper Spirit is saying here. All right, because when we're stuck like this, you know, it's really hard to have some faith, right? It's like you get so stuck, you don't, faith is like, faith what? You know, you're like, huh? But we need to keep that in mind. Very often when we get into these painful situations, you know, there was something that we needed to learn, and when we're in it, we don't want to hear that shit, but it's true, you know? it's true. You know, there may have been something that you needed to learn about yourself or learn about other people. So trust that the universe has your back and that you are moving in a good direction, and just keep at it, Scorpio. Okay, don't give up. Keep working at your healing and letting whatever this challenge for you is, this burden that you're carrying related to this relationship, working on letting that go, and having faith that you are heading in the right direction for you. Okay, this was a tough one. Well, I wish you the best, and I hope to see you around my channel, and I hope this was helpful. Take care, okay?